Welcome back to Skish Guys. The new season of anime has finally started airing, and I decided that this season we're going to go over a show episode by episode. So when it airs, a new episode of this will come out, and we'll talk about and discuss what went on in that most recent episode. I was originally going to go with the Kowloon City show. I thought that looked really cool, pretty original, and it just looked awesome. So I watched the first episode. It looked great animation-wise, everything was awesome, and I was very excited to make a video on it. And then the new Gundam aired. After watching the first episode, I really liked it. I'm not super heavy into Gundam. I haven't seen a ton of Gundam shows. I have seen Gundam Wing, and I have seen Gundam Witch from Mercury. Now, I grew up, I had a lot of the Gundam figures, and I overall think Gundam are really, really cool. Mechs are just cool in general. So watching the first episode, I thought it was really awesome, and I thought it would be very fun to go over this show and follow it episode by episode, week by week. Alright, so let's jump in and see what happened on the first episode of the new Gundam, and that is Gundam Q. I really don't know how to pronounce this. In the show, they said like quacks. It sounded like quacks. So through these 12 weeks, or I think it's 12, I'm going to be butchering this name. Maybe I'll get it correct at some point, maybe I won't. But for now on, we're going to call it Gundam Quacks or Quux. We'll just go with that. Alright, so right off the bat, we're thrown into a space battle with what appears to me to look like two Zaku. I think the Zaku designs are very, very cool with the one light in the center. And biggest thing for me when it comes to Gundam is not just the design of the mechs, but the sound effects that they use in the show. So in Gundam Wing, that's when I first got introduced to like Gundam as a whole. It's the sound effects in this show are unlike anything in anime that I've ever heard before. They are so unique, specifically to Gundam. I mean, I even went out of my way to download like a Gundam pack with just a bunch of sounds from Gundam. And I really love how throughout every Gundam that I've watched, from Wing, Witch from Mercury, and into this newest one, they bring those sounds along with it. To me, that is such a big characteristic of what makes Gundam Gundam. It's not just a mech show, it's the sounds that they use in Gundam. You can tell like, oh, that's a Gundam sound. We get our first introduction of a new Gundam that shows up, the Red Gundam. And from what I can tell in this and Witch from Mercury, I didn't really notice it in Wing, is that Gundam are separate from just typical mechs. There's like a mech platform, and there's what appears to be like Gundam software in the Gundam, I think, and that software is very dangerous and illegal. In Witch from Mercury, you weren't allowed to use it, or you had to be a certain type of person to use it, because Soletta is one of the only ones who can handle like the Gundam platform. I didn't notice that in Wing, but in this, it appears that Gundam, the software, or what makes Gundam Gundam, is still very dangerous and appears to be illegal because he is fighting a police Zaku somewhere out in space, and he completely shreds him and fucks him up. So we have our mobile suits, which are mobile suits, Big Mech mobile suits, and Gundam mobile suits, it appears. This part is kind of what I'm referring to with the Gundam being illegal. Now, I don't know if this is specific Gundam software, but it is battle software, what looks like on a hard drive, and this thing is being transported illegally. You're not allowed to have them. We're getting our first look at Gundam Quacks, and the design to me it's different. It's really interesting. I don't hate it, but I'm really not in love with it too much. When it comes to Gundams and mechs as a whole, I kind of like a bigger, bulkier design versus something like this that looks really sleek and slim. Like I said, I don't hate it, but I'm also not in love with it. I think Ariel in Witch from Mercury was a really nice medium from the big and bulky and the slim and sleek, because in Gundam Wing, the Gundams they just look really tanky. You know, they don't brought in some new sleekness to it, but this just looks like really sleek and slim. Like I said, I don't hate it, but brought in some new sleekness to it, but this just looks Like really sleek and slim. Like I said, I don't hate it, but I'm also not super... Jesus Christ, what is that? Like I said, I don't hate it, but I'm also not super in love with it. The color scheme kind of matches, from what I've known, the low-key red, white, and blue, and yellow from all the other main Gundams and all the other shows that I've watched. We've kind of got to see our main character a little bit more, get to know her just a little bit. And I gotta say, I really like the character. She's spunky, outgoing. I think she'll be a very fun character to follow along with. And as far as the character design goes, it's really different from the other Gundam. The other ones look, I want to say more serious, and we'll stick with more serious for lack of a better term. These ones look a little more cartoonish, and I really don't hate that. I like that a lot. I think it's a nice stylistic approach to Gundam, and I think the show still carries weight to it, because when you look at characters like this, I typically think it's going to be low-key lighthearted, but right off rip, in like the first scene, a dude was just killed by the Red Gundam. So I think this is still going to have a pretty serious tone to it, which I really like, which Mercury did. Wing was extremely hard to follow, but it also had seriousness to it. Circling back to the sounds in Gundam, this fight between the Quuuuuux Gundam and the Red Gundam is super fucking cool. The visuals look great. The sounds are out of this world. When they whip out the fucking swords, nothing can beat the sounds from Gundam. Really nothing. All right, we got our underground gang of goons who want the illegal mech fighting software. So just in this short period of time, we've kind of, I feel like, learned a lot about our main character here. In this interaction with a bunch of the illegal mech goons, she kind of shows that she doesn't give much of a shit. She takes charge, and if she wants something, she's going to get it done and do it her own way, no matter what other people tell her. And I like that. I think that's great in a main character. And the shot of her like peeking up, that was peak. Red Gundam and Gundam Quuuuuux have showed up in what appears to be this slum area, and I think this was also in Witch from Mercury. I'm not sure about Wing, I can't recall, but they're talking about this war a lot, and it seems like the losers of the war are kind of oppressed by the winners of the war, and that leads to a lot of animosity. We have this slum area where it seems like they really hate the ruling class and the people who are oppressing them, which appears to be this military police force, these mechs that come in. They just start destroying the places around. That's not very cool. But our red-haired heroine here jumps into Gundam Quuuuuux, who is kind of led by this little ball fella. I think they have a name, but I don't remember what it is. He seems chill, and he's giving her directions, and now she is in the Gundam, and she's going to fight. Okay, so here's the question that I have. In the first fight with Gundam Quuuuuux and the Red Gundam, the first pilot put in the software, and it would not activate. I don't know why it wouldn't activate. Now that our main girl is in the Gundam, it is activated. I don't know if she has something special that allows her to activate the fighting software, the Gundam platform. I don't know. It seems she's really taken to the Gundam platform. You get like this sparkling thing that to me represents her fully acknowledging or accepting the Gundam platform. And Red Gundam shows up, and he doesn't fight Gundam Quuuuuux. They kind of work together and just get the hell out of Dodge, which is interesting. You know, I want to know who is piloting Red Gundam. All right, that kind of brings us to the end here. Just a quick little recap over some things that happened in the episode. I really enjoyed this episode. I thought it was really awesome. If this is your first introduction to Gundam, I think you have a great introduction coming, and you will probably thoroughly enjoy the Gundam series. As I mentioned previously, I have only seen two other Gundam series. That is Witch from Mercury, which aired last year, I think, and Gundam Wing, which is an iconic Gundam. It's like a staple in the Gundam series, but I would not recommend that to someone who has never seen Gundam before. It is so hard to follow. There's so many things going on. It's very dry. It's very flat. The only really redeeming factor in that show is one of the memes where Hiroyui says, "I'm gonna kill you" to the main girl in her fucking birthday party, and the mech suits, Wing Zero, Heavy Arms, and those are really the only redeeming factors of that show. If you want to get into Gundam, this is, I would say, a good series. It's really digestible. I could follow along what was going on. Sure, I have questions, but I'm sure those will get answered. Or Witch from Mercury is also another great one that I would recommend. So with all that being said, we will see you guys next week for the next episode of Gundam.